Hi, I'm Mike Fink on the STS 134 crew, and you're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, here is a message from all the children in the USA. Thank you for showing us the journey from the billboard to the shuttle bay. Some dreams you wake from, some dreams you live. This captain from all the teams, watching you from far away. We see how you work and study, so you can do this every day. Some dreams you wake from, some dreams you live. Some dreams you work for, some dreams you give. Filling young minds every day. You're giving teachers a better way to inspire more lives with real rewards.
Good morning, Endeavour.
Good morning, Shannon, and it's good flight day 16. We're looking forward to another busy day and hopefully getting home tomorrow. That song was the second place winner in the Wake Up Music Contest by the Plunkets called Dreams You Give, and it received something like over 600,000 votes. So congratulations to Brian Plunkett from Halfway, Missouri.
Drew, you've certainly walked in space before. What'd you think about this trip, and what's it going to feel like when you can't fly in these shuttles again?
Well, it's a little bit of a bittersweet end. I was happy to have the opportunity to do the three spacewalks that I did, both with Greg Chamitoff and Mike Fink, and happy that all four of them were very successful. And I can tell you, in reference to the previous question, the view from out there was spectacular. When you can see the Earth below and you're holding on to a piece of the structure up high above the space station, and to see the horizon out there with all that hardware beneath you, and understand what we've done as a nation and as a world to build that International Space Station. It's spectacular. So it's bittersweet to know that it's sort of coming to an end, and that we all have varying futures ahead of us, but it'll be interesting to see what that brings for all of us in the development of the space program.
Mike, you set a new record, 380 days in space. How can anybody possibly beat you?
Well, the Russians have had people in space for up to 800 days in their career, so I got a long way to go. And but I'm sure there's other people who are going to fly in our office more than one long-duration space mission, and I hope my record is soon broken, and I hope it just becomes a kind of a ripple in the whole scheme of history as humans go on, Americans go on to explore the rest of the solar system. But in the meantime, I'm glad to share the moments with these guys.
All right, you astronauts. All right, you got about 10 seconds to explain to me exactly what alpha magnetic spectrometer does for us in trying to find the origins of the universe. Go ahead.
Well, there's some really amazing things that it's trying to figure out. Hubble for us, one of the important things Hubble figured out was that the universe is not only expanding, but at an accelerated rate. And our understanding of how that could be with mass, when mass attracts and should be pulling things back together, we clearly don't understand the mass that's out there. And about 4% of the mass is the matter that we understand. And then there's other kinds of matter that we're trying to figure out. And one of those we call dark matter, because physicists don't really understand what it is. And this is understanding what the universe is, the universe we live in, how it all got here, how it was formed. These are fundamental questions, and this is what AMS is going to be trying to understand for us.
And Mark, as a commander, you've had a very emotional trip up there with Gabby now on the recovery back here on Earth. How's it been for you?
Well, the mission's gone great. It's nice that on the space station there's an internet phone available. We actually had pulled the computer over here, and we had a headset and this mic, as a matter of fact. And it was nice to be able to call her each day. After about flight day 4 of the flight, she had her surgery a couple days after we launched, and that went really well. So it was nice to be able to talk to her. Haven't been able since we since we undocked, but I will, you know, shortly after I land. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her.
Well, you know, obviously we share this in the sense that she got her cranioplasty put on, her skull back on. Do you see a big change in her? Less pain? Anything else different?
Well, there's always issues with the recovering from surgery. I could tell a difference on the phone when speaking to her, so that's all positive, and her recovery's going really well. She'll be doing rehab, you know, for some continuing period of time, but at some point, pretty soon, she'll become an outpatient. So we're really looking forward to that, and it's all really encouraging.
You made your decision to go up into space while she's still going into surgery. I can only assume that that was a very good decision for you to do.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. She was ready for the surgery. The timing, you know, worked out where her doctor ideally wanted to do it soon after I launched. And yeah, I really trust him. And her mom was there, and her dad, and you know, other family members. So it was good timing. So I didn't want to hold it up by this space flight. So we decided to go ahead with it. And in hindsight, it was absolutely the right decision.
Well, this is the last mission for the Endeavour and the second to the last shuttle mission ever. What does all this mean for you?
Well, yeah, after Endeavour comes to a stop on the runway tomorrow, hopefully in Florida, it'll head off to a museum. Certainly bittersweet. The space shuttle's been the workhorse of the U.S. space program for better than 30 years now. So it'll be sad to see it retired. But, you know, we are looking forward to new spacecraft and new destinations, and we're all excited about the future.
For the rest of you guys, what are you most looking forward to being finished with this mission, and what has it been like to look out at the world? Those spacewalks must have been something.
It has been my first experience with the space shuttle. I flew before on the Russian side. It has been a very unique experience to stay and to work with my crew. The mission is coming to an end. I'm very pleased the way it went, and I look forward to see my wife Valeria and my 3 kids, Eduardo, Davide, and Enrico. They will be waiting for me together with all the other families at the Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah, it's really special to be out there on a spacewalk because there's just a, you know, quarter-inch of plexiglass between you and the rest of the universe, and you can look down and see our planet zoom by at 17,500 miles an hour, and you can see the rest of the cosmos in front of you. But mainly we look at our work, but it's a really breathtaking view, and I was glad to share it with both Drew Feustel and Greg Chamatoff, along with the guys inside helping us out and even taking pictures. It was definitely an enjoyable experience, but one thing I always want to make sure is everyone knows it is not easy. There's never an easy spacewalk. They're all really difficult. I sometimes, like, at least in my mind, think it's just as tough to climb Mount Everest as it is to go on a spacewalk.
Mike, if I got the stats right here, you've had 26 hours on 6 spacewalks during your career. I'm just wondering, I know it's work out there, and your time is limited, and you've got a lot to get done, but knowing that you won't be flying off the side of a shuttle again, did you take any extra time on this trip just to reflect, just to have a nostalgic moment?
Yes, I absolutely did. Each time you get to do a spacewalk, it's a lot of work, but it's also very much a blessing. And since those 6 spacewalks on the Russian side, I had 3 spacewalks out of 4 here on our mission, so it's a total of 9 now. I can't believe it. I didn't even think I'd ever get to do one. But it's always good to, especially near the end of the spacewalk when you know you got most of your tasks done, to just you know, hold on tight and look out over the edge and look at planet Earth go by, or look up and see the moon and the stars and the planets and look forward to where we're going to be going next.
Greg Johnson, 4,000 hours, 40 different aircraft. On your second space flight, we're obviously in a transition. A lot of questions about the future of the American manned space program. What goes through your mind when you're zipping around, you disconnect from the space station, and now you're preparing to come home?
Well, what occurs to me is how special it is. Yesterday we did undock and fly around, and the space station was absolutely spectacular. This mission, we put the final touches as far as the assembly of the space station so we can declare the space station complete. And in doing so, the space station is so huge that even when we back off to 600 feet, we can barely catch the entire space station in our field of view. As we traveled all the way around the space station, we were taking wonderful photographs, and so being a part of this mission and being a part of the completion of the space station and the retirement of the space shuttle, I can't think of a better thing that an aviator would like to be a part of in his career.
Do you have, Commander Kelly, to you, any apprehension as we go through this transition? You're the second last shuttle flight. The final mission will take place just a few weeks down the road. Any apprehension that in this period of transition something will be lost, whether it's scientific discovery or just the great sense of adventure that is manned spaceflight?
I don't think the adventure will be lost. I think what's always at risk is as we transition to a new program and a new vehicle, there's going to be a period of time when Americans aren't flying on U.S. spacecraft. So that's a challenge. You know, people leave, you know, engineers and operations people will move on and do other things. So it's the corporate memory that I think I'm most worried about as people go. But you know, over time, we'll get the right mix of people, and NASA has an incredible workforce. It's very talented, and you know, from the late 1950s to today, we take on great challenges, and we've never failed. So. You know, I think the future is bright. There's going to be a period of time where we're going to develop our next generation of launch vehicles, and it'll be you know, a challenging transition, but I expect, you know, great things.
Some of NASA's legends, some astronauts have written a letter to NASA the last couple of days and to President Obama. They include Gene Cernan, Neil Armstrong, and Jim Lovell, who say that human spaceflight program is in disarray. Any of you agree with that, given the state of where NASA is going now? Are you concerned about the future of human spaceflight?
You know, I think we're always concerned about the future. I mean, this is our careers. It's been our careers for a long period of time, and it's a difficult transition period. We're going to retire the space shuttle. It's going to take us probably 5 or 6 years to have a new spacecraft ready to launch U.S. crew members on. In that period of time, we'll continue to fly on the Russian Soyuz. We have a very capable space station that we're going to continue to operate. The U.S. segment of the space station is a very capable laboratory. We have a European lab, a Japanese lab on board. But, you know, transitions are sometimes difficult. But, you know, we have confidence in NASA and NASA management that you know, we'll steer through this period of time and come out on the other side with a really vibrant space program. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to go back to the moon or go on to Mars, an asteroid. I mean, we're really excited about the future.
And Colonel Johnson, if I get one last question in, I'll ask you, bittersweet as you watch the Endeavour program come to an end?
It's very bittersweet. This wonderful vehicle has gone on 24 previous shuttle missions. We're the 25th. It's the newest of the shuttle fleet. And I just love this vehicle. I fell in love with this vehicle the first time I got to fly 3 years ago on STS 123. She's performed magnificently. Absolutely no warnings or cautions on the way up. Nothing broke. This vehicle is a wonderful machine, and it's an honor and a privilege for each one of us to be part of her final flight.
Captain Kelly, Colonel Johnson, you're getting ready to put Endeavour down for her very last time. What's going through your heads? How big of a moment is this for you guys, both as astronauts and pilots, and who gets to have their hand on the stick for this? And what do folks like you guys do next without a space shuttle to fly?
Yes, it's always a big moment in the mission. The space shuttle is a big glider. There's no engines for landing. I mean, we have this incredible amount of thrust and power for liftoff, and then we glide home, very steep glide slope. Space shuttle has really short and stubby wings, so we practice the landing a lot. And I'll do the landing tomorrow. It'll be about 2 in the morning. We're hoping for good weather, but it's a big moment in the mission to get safely back to Earth. I think these guys are looking forward to a soft landing. I'm going to try to give them one.
We're going to have a night landing tomorrow morning, or super late at night, depending on how you look at it. And my previous flight, we had a night landing as well. This will be Mark's first night landing. So as his pilot, my job is to contribute in any way that I can to back him up and support the landing. We're both trained, almost one might say overtrained, because we've been training for many, many years to land shuttles. And I'm looking forward to this landing at Kennedy Space Center early Wednesday morning.
Houston, we are ready for APU start.
All right, Endeavour, yeah, we are ready and watching.
This is Mission Control Houston. We can see that Auxiliary Power Unit 1 is up and running because there's hydraulic pressure flowing through the lines that are controlling the elevons. We're watching that live picture from the payload bay cameras of the Space Shuttle Endeavour as the flight control surfaces are checked out. Once the Space Shuttle reaches what's known as entry interface, about 5 minutes before landing, there will be significant aerodynamic pressure on the control surfaces that they'll be able to control Endeavour's descent through the atmosphere toward the runway at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This is part of the standard checkout of all of the flight control systems aboard the Space Shuttle prior to every landing. The point at which the shuttle reaches that entry interface, or enough aerodynamic pressure to use these control surfaces, is about 400,000 feet up and about 5,000 miles from the landing site. At that point, the space shuttle will be traveling about 25,000 feet per second, which is about 1,700 miles an hour.
Hi, I'm Mark Kelly, commander of Space Shuttle Endeavour. My first of 4 space flights was as Endeavour's pilot on STS-108 in December 2001. This is Endeavour's last flight, and certainly my last shuttle flight as well. We left the station with new spare parts, supplies, and an advanced scientific instrument called the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer. AMS is already at work, gathering information that could improve our understanding of the universe. The $2 billion instrument weighs 15,000 pounds and involved a collaboration with more than 600 scientists and engineers from 60 institutions in 16 countries. This cooperation illustrates a legacy of Endeavour, the Space Shuttle, and the Space Station. The international collaboration that exploration and utilization of space has become. Endeavour is a proud name, borne by a number of ships. Few were less racy but more able than explorer James Cook's Endeavour. The Endeavour Cook used on his first voyage of exploration was built to haul coal like those on which Cook had served as a merchant marine officer. It was blunt-bowed, slow, yet reliable, strong, and able to take a lot of punishment. It would survive grounding on Australia's Great Barrier Reef that would have sunk most ships of its day. In some ways, it reminds us of our own Endeavour. Our mission is returning from the International Space Station after Endeavour's 12th visit to the orbiting laboratory. There, people from many nations have served continuously in successive crews since November of 2000, teaching and learning from one another about interactions and about how best to do things in this harsh environment. Endeavour flew the first space station assembly mission, STS-88. The first Japanese component of the space station was taken by Endeavour to the station in March 2008. It also delivered Node 3, Tranquility, and the Cupola, the robotic workstation with 6 windows, to the ISS in February of 2010. A spacecraft that was partly a collection of spare parts, Endeavour also features advanced new hardware that helped improve safety and performance of other orbiters when it was later incorporated into them. Endeavour OV-105, authorized by Congress in August 1987 as a replacement for Challenger, was named through a national competition of elementary and secondary school students. Endeavour was delivered to the Kennedy Space Center on May 7, 1991, and launched first into space on May 7, 1992. Endeavour's STS-118 launch on August 8, 2007 was its first in 4 years after a lengthy modernization following the loss of Space Shuttle Columbia. This flight was commanded by my brother Scott Kelly. When we launched on STS-134, Endeavour already had traveled almost 116.4 million miles in space on 24 previous flights. It had spent 283 days in space and orbited the Earth 4,423 times. We are adding significantly to that total. It has taken 133 individuals into space, some of them more than once. Astronauts are just the tip of a very large iceberg. Behind us are thousands of people, civil servants, contractors, suppliers. They're dedicated, hard-working folks who believe deeply in what we do. They train us to do our jobs. They build, repair, and maintain our spacecraft and their equipment. They manage our missions, launch us, and control our flights. They support us in many, many ways. We believe deeply in them, enough to trust them with our lives. We've talked a lot about Endeavour, the space shuttle, in the past. Now that we've looked back, let's take a moment to look ahead. The retirement of Endeavour and the shuttle fleet will not end the human need to explore. It is, and always will be, part of who we are. The United States will build other spaceships, better than those of today. Even if they are years in the future, they will nevertheless increase our knowledge of the world, generate an enormous benefit to our economy, and inspire our children. We can't know when they will come about or what they will be, but perhaps one of those new vehicles of exploration will be named Endeavour, and maybe it will take humans to other planets or even more distant worlds circling other stars. It could bear a no prouder or more fitting name.
Here we had just departed from the International Space Station. We're sitting here in Endeavour's airlock, and we've got two of our spacesuits here that we used for the work that we did during our 16-day mission, and we're happy to be part of Endeavour's legacy and to round out the final spacewalks of the Space Shuttle era.
Endeavour started off with some spectacular spacewalks on its maiden voyage, and it ended with our 4 spacewalks. And we hope that the tools, the techniques that we've learned over the years, especially here with Endeavour, will be applicable for all the spacewalks that we're going to be doing on asteroids, Moon, and Mars.
It has been an honor for me to be part of the STS-134 space flight with my crew on the last shuttle flight of Endeavour. It's also the end of the assembly of the International Space Station, and it has been extremely rewarding for me to see that our presence as European Space Agency and as Europe is strong. Columbus, BMM, Node 3 Cupola, and many other components are coming from ESA and from Europe. We are coming back on board of Endeavour to make final landing, and that will be the last landing of this incredible machine. I do not believe this is the end of flights similar to the one that I have experienced. I truly believe that the legacy will continue, and everything that we have learned from all the shuttles, including Endeavour, would be the base of the transportation of future generations.
But what does Endeavour mean to me? What am I thinking about Endeavour on the night here before landing? Endeavour is a very special ship to me. A couple years ago, I was on the station for 6 months and was dropped off by Discovery, and never saw another vehicle of this size. I saw a lot of traffic up there with Progress and Soyuz and an ATV come and go, but after 6 months on the space station, I had a wonderful time, and the mission went really well, and it was time to come home, and my ride home was going to be Endeavour. And I'll never forget the moment that Endeavour pulled into formation right below the space station. We were over in the service module taking pictures of Endeavour, and this massive spaceship came up. You know, after 6 months of seeing nothing like that, and flew into formation with the space station. It was just a beautiful, beautiful, unbelievable sight. You know, the other night I was looking at the whole space station from the cupola late at night, and I saw Endeavour, you know, lit up, but over the Earth, you know, at night, and I took some pictures with a star background. It's just a beautiful spaceship, and it really belongs here. It's just, when you see it attached to the space station, it just really looks like it belongs here. It belongs in space, and you know, it is a little bit hard to see, you know, a spaceship like this being retired. We know that, you know, more is going to come in the future, and the future is going to be very exciting. But I think the legacy for Endeavour is exactly what it was doing here on the space station. Endeavour's life bookends the space station assembly. You know, the first flight that was here to assemble part of the space station was Endeavour, and now here on the last flight, she was here for the final assembly, and the space station is complete. And although Endeavour is retiring, it's a new beginning, and the space station now is a place where we're going to do the research and practice with the new systems and life support and everything we need to do to be able to explore further and to conduct science up here that will take us further. So the space station is our new foothold in the future, and that's a big legacy that Endeavour has, as well as the whole space shuttle program. And so this is what I think about as we come to land Endeavour tomorrow.
When I first became an astronaut over a decade ago, one of my very first jobs was to go to the Cape and prepare the space shuttles for launch and landing. And so we spent a lot of time in all the different orbiters, in Discovery, Atlantis, and Columbia. But Endeavour was always my favorite. And I think Endeavour was my favorite because it was the newest of the orbiters. It smelled a lot more like a new car than some of the other more seasoned orbiters. Getting this second flight in Endeavour and being on her final flight is amazing to me. This 25th flight of Endeavour, one of the more significant missions I would claim in the assembly of the space station, partly because we brought up the AMS, the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, which is an amazing scientific experiment that will help scientists better understand our universe. But also, it was the 25th flight of Endeavour and the final flight of Endeavour. And so being on this mission was a great honor and privilege to me. If you ask me what I think Endeavour's legacy would be, I'd have to say, well, first being a part of the mainstay, the workhorse of the space program, the space shuttle for the last 30 years, Endeavour was a big part of that. But also Endeavour had the unique distinction of bringing up the very first piece of the International Space Station, and then by installing the orbiter boom system on top for use for the station's arm to extend its robotic arm, the Endeavour brought up the last piece of the space station as well. So I think Endeavour's legacy would be that she was a very important part of the assembly of the space station from beginning to end, and also to me personally, because I had my first date on Endeavour and I'm having my last date with Endeavour.